Dorothea Dix was born in Hampton, Maine on April 4th, 1802. She was the eldest of 3 children and the daughter of an abusive father who drank too much. Because of her abusive father, she went to live with her grandmother in Boston at the age of 12. She began teaching school and in 1819 founded the Dix Mansion, which was a school for girls of all classes. She also began writing textbooks. She worked in many different hospitals in order to advocate and improve the conditions of the mentally ill patients and those who were disabled. During the Civil War, she helped to establish different hospitals, treat all types of soldiers, and she also transformed the field of nursing. Now, let's hear from the woman herself. Welcome back, everybody. Today we have a very special guest with us. Let's welcome Dorothea Dix.
Thank you very much. It's so good to be here.
Thank you for time traveling from the 1870s just to meet with us today. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about your childhood?
Well, my father was an alcoholic and abused me as a child, and my mother was mentally ill herself. That was part of what led me to get involved in helping the mentally ill.
I'm sorry. I heard that you ran away from home when you were only 12?
Yes, that's correct. I was unhappy with my home life and decided to go live with my grandmother in Boston.
Well, what did you do there?
I taught for a couple of years, but I was getting sick so often that I had to stop teaching. My doctors thought it would be helpful for me to take a trip to Europe.
That sounds fun. What did you do on your trip?
Well, I wanted to find a cure for my illness that kept coming back. I met some reformers there who were interested in changing the ways the mentally ill patients were cared for.
Mm-hmm.
I was inspired to learn about the conditions surrounding mentally ill patients as I've experienced with my own mental illness.
Did this inspire you to improve the conditions in the United States?
Yes. When I came back, I started touring mental hospitals around the country. I was able to see how these mentally ill and disabled patients were being treated. I wanted to advocate for them because I was able to relate to how they felt. Treating anyone in this matter was inhumane.
So that's what caused you to push the states to care for the unfortunate, such as the mentally ill?
Yes, and it helped when I established asylums in New Jersey, North Carolina, and Illinois. One of the solutions I came up with was to travel to many different places, trying to convince states to expand their public hospitals to include those who were considered mentally ill. I also tried to create a national asylum through the legislators, but the bill was never passed.
Well, why don't you tell us a bit about your time working during the Civil War?
I really wanted to help those fighting for the Union. I was appointed the superintendent of Army nurses for the Union Army, and the nurses I trained were highly capable and successful in both treating patients in the war and advancing the field of nursing in the medical world.
Even though you were dedicated to the Union cause, you still treated both Confederate and Union soldiers. Is that correct?
Yes. Even though I supported the Union, I still treated those who were injured, regardless of which side they fought on. I also wanted more opportunities for women nurses, and fought for formal training during a period of time when male doctors expressed aversion for us.
That sounds interesting. What did you do after the war?
I continued to fight on behalf of the mentally ill patients and advocate for their rights. However, I recently contracted malaria and have moved back to New Jersey to rest and take care of myself.
Well, I'm sorry. But thank you for coming through time to visit the station and to give us your story. We all really appreciate it. Thank you. That is the end of our segment.